We're joined here tonight. We got the group here. It's myself, James, and Justin Thaler. Uh, Coming to you here on this Monday, February 3rd of 25. Uh, we got a good bit of action to get to tonight. We have a guest with us we'll be getting into here shortly. We'll probably recap some of the action out at Bowman Gray. And of course, go over some of our league racing that happened over the last week. So, without further ado, we're going to kind of get into it here. Introductions aside, I'd like to bring in our guest for tonight, John Aslin, driver of the 25 truck. And you drive a Porsche on the road series, John?
This year I switched to the Mercedes.
Okay, you switched over to Mercedes, man.
Yeah, I used the Mercedes the first um, season, and I just started getting used to it. And then I thought, you know what, I'm gonna switch to the Porsche and try that one because it seemed like you could had better gearing or something. You could jump off the corners a little bit better, but it was then my son races in road series as well, and he's like, I'd go back to the Mercedes, Dad. So yeah, I went to the Mercedes.
Yeah, I wanted to start in that Mercedes, but there's something about that Porsche that drew me into it. I'll give you props to that. Mercedes is a nice car.
Yeah.
Um, so with moving over to the Mercedes from the Porsche, are you liking that change?
I do seem like it's easier to roll through the corners because you're not constantly like worried about what gear you're in. I mean, it seems like the Mercedes you can just downshift one time, go through your corner, and you can still drive off. Whereas the Porsche, it seemed like you had to downshift a couple times, you get off the corner, or you had to shift while you're still going through the corner. But I mean, that could be just me too. I'm not up there with everybody else driving, so that's probably my downfall.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you, man. I'm getting passed every Tuesday. Those guys are fast.
Absolutely. I'm more of driving out of my rear view mirror, it seems like, than out of the windshield.
Yeah. We were just talking prior to getting the podcast going. Yeah, we we're talking about you starting in the league. It was about a year ago. JT brought it up. Um, Recounting that we still had the Xfinity series going, and you started in trucks. What made you want to make that leap over to the road series?
Just something different. And it was, something like, you know, before iRacing, I mean, it was, Gran Turismo, right? Everybody was racing Gran Turismo. So it was always road courses. And it was like something that is like, maybe I can do it, you know, racing with people that are actually not going to wreck me, like racing in officials. It seems like in the officials race, you just get out somewhere and someone will button you in the corner or drive it into the corner and take you out. At least in a league, you can trust the people you are around basically. I mean, so it's fun. I like it, but um yeah, I just need to practice, practice, practice. You know?
Yeah, yeah, I hear you there. Practice is it's hard to come by at times with personal life and stuff, but when you can get to it, it definitely makes that Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, whichever race you're running, it definitely makes that a lot easier to run.
Yeah, and
Um,
you get to learn the tracks a little bit better. It's a lot easier running. So, I mean, yeah, if you can get on and do your due diligence and practice, I think it'll be more enjoyable.
Oh, for sure. For anybody listening that isn't aware, John Aslin, his son Nick runs in the road series and truck series as well. These two race together a lot. What's the dynamic there, John? Do you guys have like a Discord chat going that you guys are talking during the race and kind of giving each other hints, or how's that work for you two?
Yeah, we get on Discord and chat during the race, and Nick. he's like my crew chief in my ear. He tells you, um, you know, this is where you can, make sure you get in the gas here and make sure you, um, you know, watch this corner or, he always says, remember now, uh, the competition caution's coming up. Don't take tires, Dad. Just go. Just go in, pit, don't take tires. It's like, okay, I got it. I got it. And then I'll screw it up. I'll go in, not have it set right or something. And yeah, it's like, oh man, I didn't pull up far enough, or I ended up getting two tires or whatever. But it's like, and then just watching him, and he'll be coming. I watch him coming through on the overlays, and he'd be like, "Hey, I'm coming up behind you now," and I'm like, "I'm gonna race you hard. You better make this. You ain't making this easy."
Uh,
And wait for him to get there, and then I'll pull.
and then just concede it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
get that.
the
I get
the
that.
the pitting thing sounds like eerily familiar to me. When our dad's in the chat, and it's like oh hell, what happened, Dad? So,
yeah.
I on one sense I can kind of really understand where Nick's coming from. Um, you joined the league first, so um,
Yeah.
his was it hard to kind of convince Nick to do it? And I guess like, did your experience of kind of basically just hanging out, having a good time, father son kind of did your enjoyment of iRacing or this hobby in general just like increase for you that you can do it because it's me and Eric and my dad and I've known Anthony sadly now for almost 10 years, so
Mhm.
um, I got quite a
Dang.
few friends in this league. So I guess like did that make it more enjoyable to you, getting him involved into it and
Oh
I
yeah.
mean
Yeah.
besides him maybe beating you every week.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, because at first we got it, I got the iRacing and everything set up, and when they came to the house and we were showing them, Nick was really good at Gran Turismo, right? And he always played on controller. He he
Mm-hmm.
didn't like he didn't like racing on the wheel. He had a wheel, but he didn't really use it, and he was good at racing on the controller. And then when he came here and started racing on the wheel, then we had the iRacing set up, and I don't know, it just clicked with him all of a sudden. He started racing and he was winning like all the time. And I'm like, damn man, what the hell's he doing? It's like, it's like, how does this work? But yeah, it's great. I mean, we enjoy every Friday night. It's like, get ready, we sit down, sit there and chat, and goes over everything with me, um, and then we'll start qualifying, and I can hear him. I can't see what he's doing, but because I'm usually qualifying at the same time, and he's like, "Oh, dang it!" And I'm like, "What'd you do?" "Nothing." And I'm like, "Come out of it," and he's like, "Second." And I'm like, "What are you bitching about?" It's like, I'm 12th. You're second. How's that work?
That's
But
that's great. I love it. Um, you know, having that experience with, I guess roles reverse, having that experience with my dad. Just it's a lot of fun to, have a brother or a father or a son, involved in it, and that's what we're all about. And I think it's really cool to see. There's a couple of us here that have that kind of same situation as well, and I just kind of want
yeah,
to get a different perspective on it. And it seems like it's about the same probably across the board. I think we're the same pool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, like I said, it's fun, just to enjoy doing that stuff, and see him get, you know, better and better and be there with everybody, um, racing how he is. So I mean, well, someday, like that one time I did beat him. Granted, I went backwards across the start finish line, but I did finish in front of him.
You gotta take those small victories.
Absolutely.
So I
Speaking of
guess.
small victories, I have a question for John while
Oh,
we're
go ahead. Yeah, go
on
ahead.
Sure.
small victories. Looking through your history, I see that you're still working towards your first win in the Midwest Motorsports League. So, and I noticed as well that you are aggressive with your racing when you need to be aggressive, but also you're courteous and respectful to everybody. It seems like uh, you get you receive a lot of respect from the other drivers because of the respect you give other drivers as well. And I don't want to overlook that fact. But so we can't talk about your first win in Midwest Motorsports yet. We hope to have you back after you do get your win. But if not a win, what is the next best thing that sticks out? Is there a memorable race that you've had at Midwest Motorsports League?
Um, I I like, for me it's the truck racing. I like racing in the truck series just because of the fact that, you can work better with some people. I mean, with mostly everybody in there. I have no qualms with anybody I race with in the truck series. I mean, although, because I'm usually in the back with the other drivers in the back, and I mean, it's crazy that uh I'm gonna bring him out, but Norm, why are you not qualifying?
Oh yes, join us. Yes.
I mean,
Oh,
that
this
dude,
makes me happy.
he's always up there in the speed chart, and then he never qualifies, and he's racing in the back. And I feel bad for him because I'll see, something happen, and it's Norm sliding down the backstretch or across the trioval, and it's like, oh, Norm, you should have qualified. You would have been way up there. You wouldn't have had to deal with this. It's like, man, but um, yeah, I mean, it's just I like it. It's a night away and something else to do, and it's enjoyable.
Yeah, we can tell you're here for the good time, for the fun, and
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
it's
mean,
definitely
everybody's
more fun
helpful.
because
They
you're
tell
racing.
you stuff, and you can go on the chat if you have any questions, especially in the road series. Those guys are like more than willing to help you get better. So, yeah.
So where did the racing? I guess the racing fun come from in your family? Like, it was what? Did you watch NASCAR through the years, or where did that itch come from? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, ever since Nick was little and Alex was little, we would go to Milwaukee Mile when we lived in Wisconsin, and NASCAR used to practice at other tracks, so they would host practice sessions at the Milwaukee Mile, and it was always free to get in. So we would go up there and hang out, watch them guys racing or practicing. Nicholas actually got Kevin Harvick to sign a Home Depot, a Tony Stewart Home Depot hat at the Milwaukee Mile, and so that was cool. And yeah, it was. We started watching NASCAR, and I used to collect diecast, right? The 124th diecast cars, and I started collecting more and more, and I had a pretty good stockpile. Well, Nick started collecting them. And when he would come to Wisconsin to visit, he'd always go through my stuff and, Daddy, can I have this one? Yeah. Pretty soon it was like he had my whole collection. And now, I mean, you should see his collection. It's huge. He's got, I don't know how many cases full of diecast cars. It's like, man, I ain't got nothing anymore. It's like, but yeah, it was all all NASCAR, really. I mean, we would do the IndyCar races at the Milwaukee Mile. My wife and I went to a couple of the Xfinity races, the truck race, but um, and then since when we were here down in Atlanta, because my son that lives in North Carolina works at Fiberworks. They make all the carbon fiber for the next gen car, and he got passes, VIP passes. So Alex, Nicholas, and I went to the Atlanta race a couple years ago, and we camped out on the infield. And you get to go through the, you got the whole garage pass. I mean, we were right next to drivers, crew chiefs, everything, and that was that was a really cool experience. That was something I think I would cherish forever. That was awesome. But um, yeah, it's just been you know, going to do races here and there and watching the stuff. And um, anytime we can go and watch something cool, Nick's been able to do a lot more. He's been to a couple Daytonas, I think. Um, he went to the Homestead finale one year.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, down in Florida, I mean, there was a lot of stuff to do down there. So, um, but yeah, I mean, it's cool stuff. I like that.
So, with you guys going and watching that, do you guys still follow NASCAR nowadays?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Nick and I watched the Clash this weekend. So,
All right. I was just getting ready to ask, what were your thoughts on the Clash?
I thought it was pretty cool. It was a lot better than at the Coliseum. At least they were able to move on the outside. A lot of bumping. Uh, you see the tempers flaring a little bit there with Ty Gibbs and Kyle
Oh yeah.
Busch. you know,
Oh yeah.
so I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it seemed like they definitely went back to their roots in more ways than one than just the short track. Tempers did flare, and it was strange because you'd think out of the Coliseum with the same short track layout that you'd have a lot more bumping there, but it was way more
Yeah.
aggressive
Yeah.
last night. So, uh, who who do you root for nowadays?
Chase Elliott.
Oh,
Oh
so
yeah, you're
you went to
happy
bed
then.
happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Nick and I were like, man, this is great. He got the pole. He won his heat race. And we were watching. I was watching up until about halftime last night, and I couldn't keep my eyes open anymore. I'm like, oh. I told Nick, I said, I think I'm done, dude. And he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be on much longer. And
Uh,
woke up this morning and I quick went on my phone, and I know he gets up early because he teaches school. So I texted him. I'm like, damn, Elliot won, and he was like, yeah, he won. Did you watch his burnout? And I was like, man, no, didn't see it. But yeah, it was like, oh, that's cool. But I was watching because I think it was right around halfway. I saw Denny Hamlin got up underneath of him and pushed him up and got to the lead. And I thought, I'm going to bed.
yeah.
Sorry,
I,
Dustin.
Yeah, I can kind of share that same sentiment. Whenever I see that 11 car lead, and I'm like, do I want to continue watching this? But
Yeah.
it was good to see Chase go back there and get a win. I think they said that was the first time. I
Most
believe
laps
this
led
was
in
the stat.
history.
Well, not just that, it was the first time that a father son combo. So Bill Elliott won the Clash. Uh, I think it might have been at Bowman. It might have been at Bowman Gray. I'll have to look up the stats, but I know they were talking about Bill Elliott winning and Chase Elliott winning last night was going to be pretty
Daytona.
significant. So,
Yeah,
Bill,
because they said Bill Elliott won the Daytona that year. He won the
yeah,
Clash at Bowman Gray.
so
So we'll
pretty neat to
watch.
see.
Yeah. And I think practice is this, or qualifying is this weekend, right?
Uh,
Is it qualifying
I think
for
you
the
have this weekend
Daytona?
for the Super Bowl, and then the qualifying and the duels will run the following weekend, and then one
Okay.
more weekend to Daytona.
All right.
Yeah, we just gotta get through one more weekend of seeing Taylor Swift on the TV, and then we start
Yeah,
NASCAR up.
Enjoy.
man, just want to see her cry.
You
No,
and I are in the same boat then. Go Birds.
yeah, you know,
Oh man.
I am a Packer fan. We did lose to the Eagles twice, but
Oh,
man, come
They were
on.
close games. I'd
I
give them
can
that.
feel the intensity heating up right here. Talking about the Eagles there, Anthony.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Uh James, I see you have a stat for father son NASCAR drivers.
Yeah, yeah, there's so many father son duos, not only in NASCAR but in all of racing. So I don't know if you can think of any off the top of your head, John. We're glad you and Nicholas are both in the league. Is there any father son duo that you guys have thought about or reminisced? Have you added any up or even
Well, the
looked?
one I would like to be, but it's not, it's kind of opposite, is the senior and junior duo, but I think junior's got me a little bit more than senior, you know. I mean, he's already got a championship.
We got
Oh,
time here
dude.
though. We can work you into one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's still time.
Just let me take him out one time with no penalty.
Yeah, you mentioned Bill Elliott and Chase Elliott. Buck Baker and Buddy Baker. They're two champions. Uh, the Pearsons, the Allisons, Bobby Allison, and
Yeah,
Davey Allison. Of
the
course, we can't forget
Earnhardts.
about, yep, the Earnhardts, of course. The King, Richard Petty, and his dad Lee Petty, and then obviously Kyle Petty, and
Yeah,
then even Adam Petty. So there's 4 generations there. The Jarretts, Ned Jarrett, Dale Jarrett, uh,
yeah.
Cuckoo Martin, and Sterling Marlin. That might be one you might not think of.
No.
Ryan Blaney and Dave
Hmm.
Blaney. Um, Dave Blaney was actually winning the Daytona. Well, one of the races that when or no, I'm sorry, when Juan Pablo, we had the Juan Pablo red flag. Everybody wanted Dave Blaney. Dave Blaney was ahead, so
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
they
He
were
hit
ready to call the red flag there and call the race to
hit
get
the
Dave
jet
Blaney,
dryer.
but um,
Yep.
didn't happen. The Burtons, um, Jeb, the Nemechek, John Hunter, and Front Row Joe Nemechek, um, David Reagan, Ken Reagan, Martin Truex Jr. and his dad, um, Senior, obviously, Bob Keselowski, Brad Keselowski, um,
And
Jeff and Harrison Burton. So the list goes on. Don't forget Mario, Michael Andretti, um,
yeah,
and now Marco. So yeah, long list of father son race car drivers that you guys joined. We're glad to have you.
thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So normally we like to ask our guests before we end our guest segment
Mhm.
what they would do differently if say you got to take Eric or Justin's job for the day. What would you do differently with the league? Is there a rule you would change? Is there something you'd change up with the schedule? Certain type of series you would start? I guess what would be one of the executive orders we could say that you would throw across the desk there?
Oh man. Well, first off, I'd probably penalize Nick. uh
Into oblivion.
No, no,
uh
no. We don't do that around here. There's no
Hey, he's running the
favoritism.
no.
show then.
Good or
No,
bad, there's
no.
no favoritism.
No. No, I mean I think you guys do a great job. Um I I I don't think I'd want to have your job. A lot of um decisions that you guys make, but I think they're great. Um we look forward to every year when the season begins. Um looking at the schedules, I think they're perfect. Um I know you hear a lot of saying they want the short tracks, but um, I don't know. I just think a short track we would be a lot of pacing. Uh, I mean, I know I would probably end up on the trailer. uh, but no, I think you guys do a great job. I like it.
What
Me too.
what did you think of the one semi short track you guys ran in the trucks this season? Did you like running that?
Yeah. That was at
Well, I know we
that was
ran.
just a couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
That was Milwaukee Mile. Yeah.
Milwaukee Mile. I like the Milwaukee Mile. It just doesn't like me. uh it's just so hard to get off those corners, but I don't know, for some reason you guys get off of, and that, I think that was what race Nick was. He missed the Milwaukee Mile. I think he was sick. But yeah, I like it. You can, it feels like you could drive into the corner, but it just seems like you barely touch the gas coming off, like especially turn 4. I see the front stretch wall, come closer and closer every time, and it's like, man. And then you see the guys in front of you getting further and further away. It's like, how are they getting off that corner so good? But um, yeah, it's a fun track.
Well, good. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the guest segment here. John, we really enjoyed having you, man. You're a hoot to have on here. It's great talking to you, man.
Hey, I appreciate it. That's
Um,
great.
but definitely, if you do end up winning the race, we want to have you back. But more importantly, we'd like to have you back anyways. Maybe both you and Nick at the same time, so you two can duke it out over points, penalties, and such.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd like that.
So I'd like to thank you for coming on here tonight on
Thank
behalf of
you.
James and Justin, and we wish you the best of luck, man, moving forward in both the road and truck series. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow night out at Daytona with the mini stocks.
Yes, sir. I will be there. Thank you.
Nice.
Thanks again.
No
Yep.
problem,
Thanks
buddy.
for being here, John.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have a great
All
night,
right.
man.
You too. Bye.
So that was John Aslin, guys. Heck of an interview. He seems like a great guy.
I feel like we could have him on every week. I mean, that was entertaining. I
Oh
liked
yeah, it
it.
was.
Super fun. I love getting, some of the guys you might not talk to a lot, and spilled the beans on Nick. So that was good. He joined us for telling Norm to start qualifying because for whatever reason Norm doesn't qualify. So that was good. I'm a fan. I'm a bigger fan than what I was after that interview.
Yeah, Norm, start qualifying, man.
He's just here to have a good time, man. You got to respect that, and for him to be
Nope.
here this long tells you he's having a good time.
Yeah, for
Norm
sure.
or Nick? Or Norm or John?
All right, I was talking about John, but we still don't know why Norm sticks around.
Yeah. No, super. I can kind of, after just talking with him, I can kind of see, where Nick gets his outlook and the way he kind of treats people on and off the track and everything like that. So that's super cool. And it was cool to kind of get his insight on, what's the dynamic like as a father-son competitor here in the league, because I do it with my dad. So I want to kind of ask him, what's it like having, the roles reversed, you being the elder and having your son in here, and it sounds like it might be about the same. So
Oh,
that's
for
good to
sure.
know too.
Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely see. Now that you mentioned it, I remember our conversation with Nick was actually probably one of my favorite podcasts because he was just so down to earth, easy to talk to. We talked about it for a while after the podcast ended, just how fresh it was as a conversation and everything, and refreshing to hear from a league member perspective. So I can definitely see where that came from now because John was definitely a good talk, and definitely look forward to having him back in here. Maybe He'll be open to talking to James a little bit tomorrow in the mini stocks Daytona race. So
Yeah.
be a good time. Well, with that behind us, guys, we're going to go ahead and move into the road series out at the Red Bull Ring. That track, man, that's a rough track.
You didn't have an enjoyable night, did you?
Oh, it was a terrible night for me, man. I just couldn't get any practice in prior to the race, and just I don't know what it was coming out of that last corner. It just couldn't get the car to stick. I think I bent it twice in that same corner within like the 5 laps of each other, and I was just done.
That's rough. That's always. I mean, I didn't really necessarily have my greatest time either, but I could completely understand from your perspective.
Yeah. So it was a rough race for me, but it looks like Johan and Chester Miller both had good races according to the screenshots up on the screen. James, what'd you see in that race, man?
A full field. Once again, our broadcast PC was smoking with all the stuff, so just apologize for the inconvenient broadcast. Hopefully we're going to continue working on that, but it's a good problem to have because so many participants racing. So first of all, the high car count is definitely a plus. But Johan de Roy, I mean, the Red Bull Ring is um, very popular, especially over in Europe, and Johan is a huge sports car fan. Um, so he's turned thousands and thousands of laps at that track, probably thousands and thousands of laps in a GT3 car. So I wasn't surprised to see him dominate, especially after qualifying. But he checked out and never looked back. Um, but there were so many good races that, again, from the broadcast, we couldn't really see. So I'm going to be counting on you guys to help me out with, the racing and the battles. Um, Justin was in it. What did you see, Justin?
I was down towards the back. It was a dogfight back there for sure, but um, kind of really hard to. I mean, I feel like I feel like traffic probably played even more of a a I guess difficulty here at the Red Bull Ring. Just you have the long straights, but coming down into the braking zone, if you can't clear a GT4, there weren't. I feel like there weren't a lot of really good corners that you could comfortably make a pass and not force the issue. Um, so I got into Ambacaitis up into turn one, and felt really terrible about that. But talked to him after the race, and we squared it away. It was kind of a determined. It was more or less maybe a 50-50 thing, but it was just it was difficult. Off track city. I know some guys got drive-throughs and things like that, so it's always just a demanding. I feel like it doesn't seem like it, but I feel like it's a real rhythmic track. So you kind of always have to be on it. Um, and if you and surprisingly, it seemed like you really had to get a good quality lap to not get buried in the field. I feel like a lot of drivers may not have necessarily gone so far backwards um, at the Red Bull Ring. As long as they, I think, had a good qualifying, they were in decent shape for their finishing position.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off what you said there. The passing areas, aside from that long straight out of turn one, between turn one and turn two, the passing was kind of hard to do. Um, and then whenever you set up being a GT4, if you set up a pass, you had to be on the lookout because there was usually a GT3 barreling down your back to get around you. So going 3 wide at the Red Bull Ring isn't normally something that you want to do. I'm sure there were a couple people that did it, but going 3 wide at the Red Bull Ring is not something you want to do, and it made passing that much harder. Kudos to the GT3s. racing around them. A lot of them were patient. If they seen a window open, they throw their car into it. But you can't blame them there. If somebody has the inside line and they're tucked in behind them, they're going to take that pass anyways. But overall, I experienced clean racing. A little bit of congestion kind of slowed down your lap times a little, but aside from that, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, I think regardless of if you were overtaking a car in your class, you were always overtaking somebody. Like it was there was no there was really no clean air to be had. I think once maybe the first kind of lap, the second lap where the GT3 traffic came through the GT4 field, it was pretty chaotic for almost the entire hour.
About lap
Yeah,
6, from what I
Yeah.
remember, is when Johan started to come through, and then CJ and Jason Phillips, and then also Shea McNeely um, came through right after that. Unfortunately, Michael Odell had some issues early. I thought he could have played a bigger factor as the race played on, but I don't know if it was internet or equipment that failed him. But yeah, he didn't do so good, which was
One of
unfortunate.
those weeks.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think there was any shortage of action there. Like you said, about lap 6, so you're talking about, I don't know, 12, less than 12 minutes into the race or so. Ballpark, 12 to 15 minutes.
Right.
And then there was a lot of pack racing too. You will come up, and there's just a 2-3 cars, GT4s maybe, all pretty close together, and kind of just picking your way through all that made it that much more difficult.
For the lead of the GT4s, Chet Miller, Ron Cabiltas, and Ian Silva were having a really good battle. I think Chet was able to, um, by the time traffic got to him, obviously last, it was a little later than 6 laps, but I think by the time there was traffic involved, Chet was able to pull away from Ron and Ian. But I was really impressed with Ian Silva's race pace. I don't know if you got into watching any of his laps, but he was right there with Ian Bacaitis. I mean,
Yeah, I saw him running up front in the field, and um, as well as Kyle Ryan. So there was like
yeah,
some guys where you were coming through and you're looking at maybe your relative and you're like, okay, this is a little shake up here, in the GT4 class. It wasn't the typical front runners. Um,
right.
so, you kind of have to be cognizant of that if you're in a GT. Well, you should always be cognizant, kind of regardless of what position another driver's in. But just seeing that was pretty cool in and of itself. Was excuse me, seeing the guys who maybe aren't running for those podium positions in really good positions throughout that race as you're coming through the field.
Speaking of coming through the field, another one that kind of stuck out was Chase the Finger Fincher. Um, made his way almost all the way up till he didn't and got into somebody. He made a real nice post in Road Series chat. I don't know if it was yesterday or today. Um, taking responsibility for the incident, being that 2 cars tangle. They, both should take at least some of the responsibility, and Chase took it on the chin, so that didn't help his race. But yeah, I don't know what it's going to take to keep him from coming all the way up the field, but he was on it.
It's hard. I mean, he's very clean, but he will also force the issue, be a little aggressive. But he's clean, and he's not gonna dory off track or anything like that on exit. And like, I'm like, oh, here he's coming. Like, I might there's no point. Like, I'm just gonna lose time battling him, right? So it's like, maybe I can keep up with him, or maybe learn something, or follow him through some traffic if I can get that opportunity. So he he's definitely a missile out there. He's got that McLaren GT3 completely reined in.
One more McLaren GT3 that I watched was um, Brian Coxon, and it wasn't because he was racing in the front. It was because he was about a second and a half off the pace from the beginning. Um, Tried to do a, I guess, a two stopper instead of a three stopper for the GT3s. Is that right? And he came up about 4 minutes short. I don't know how many laps that is. 2.5, 3 laps short. So he pulled in about 6 minutes when he knew he wasn't going to make it. But maybe he learned his lesson. He's not going to try that next time. It may be track dependent, so maybe it depends on where we go. We have another
Yeah.
extra week of practice, so maybe he'll figure out how to keep pace and save to do it.
I couldn't imagine trying to figure out how to fuel save in one of those sports cars around Red Bull Ring.
Yeah.
Well, there's ways to do it. I'm not good at it, but there's ways you can eke out a little bit. I don't know how he can squeeze out multiple laps worth, but kudos to him because he did that in the endurance. He he cut a fuel. He cut a pit stop out and managed to make it. So,
That's
but it's
awesome.
hard. I just want to go. I want to do my thing, rip it, see what happens. It's hard to tell yourself go slow and it'll pay off in an hour.
Yeah, right. That's got to be so much discipline. Speaking of discipline, thanks to CJ Barzak for joining me in the booth during the broadcast, during the race. We pulled him in. He wasn't near anybody. And then, of course, as soon as we go live with him, he's right on Rick Bundren's tail and um, in a tight battle. But he was able to talk to us and keep the off tracks to a minimum. So we're pretty happy with that. Hopefully, we'll do some more in car guest speakers. Of course, we'll do it ahead of time. We'll get to that. We'll pick somebody for the next, uh, you know, road series race that we have. Again, it's going to be different tomorrow night for the broadcast, open mic night tomorrow night for the fun run, but hopefully we'll do the driver spotlight during the race again.
For sure. So did you guys go over the winners of the race already?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry, I kind of cut out there for a minute, but I got the points up on the screen. The Pro Series points are up. Shane McNeely still leading those with Jason Wahlberg in second, Brian Cox in third, Jason Phillips in fourth, and Gleckner in fifth. Justin, you're down there in eighth place, following John Daniels and Travis Rowe ninth, James Coffey 10th. CJ Barzak there, you were just talking about him. He's in sixth. I'm amazed that guy was able to drive and talk at the same time at that track because that is a tough track. So kudos to you, man. Hopefully you're in the fun run tomorrow. We get to talk to you too. Now up on the screen, I have the AM division points. Chester Miller's leading that. Jason is in second place. Ronald is in third. Ian Bakaitis in fourth. Kyle Ryan fifth. Nick Aslin sixth place. Landon Sprinkle seventh. Rick Bundren eighth. Ian Silva ninth. And Dan Gish in 10th. So you guys take a quick second to look at that before we move on to the truck series. Road series is off to Imola on the 11th. So this week we're off. That's why we're doing that fun run. So I'm not going to try and say the full name there because I will get, for lack of a better term, beat up by Josh Watt for brutalizing the name of that track. So I'm just going to call it Imola. February the 11th. So get you guys' practice in over the next week, and it should be a fun one. Moving on to the oval side of things, the truck series was out at the Glen Friday night. Justin, it looks like you happened to win that race. Good race for you then, man.
Yeah, that race went well.
You didn't happen to win it. You nailed it.
um, was there anything exciting that happened in that race, James? Any pile up going into turn one or anything?
No pile ups. There was a lot of excitement in the race. I well, first of all, Jason Phillips shared the front row with Justin, so I thought that was. I don't want to say I was surprised, but Jason Phillips talks like he's here learning how the trucks work, and here we go to a road course, and he puts it on the front row with JT and Eric, um, and led the race for quite a bit of it. So good
Yeah.
on Jason Phillips. Unfortunately, his lack of experience in the Midwest Motorsports trucks, although this is the 13th race, so I guess the road courses should play out the same as the ovals as far as the comp caution goes and pits being open. You almost always should come to the come to the pits coming to the caution. Jason Phillips decided to stay out for what reason I'm not sure, but um, I guess he kind of made his bed from that point. And that really hurt him, took him out of the race. But yeah, there were a
So,
couple other guys that stayed out. Platinum Elite. What were you gonna say, Ant? Didn't mean to
so no, I was just calling back to last week's cooldown lap episode. I know we talked about Jason Phillips, and we were both eager in seeing how he translated his road side to the oval side. Excluding that competition caution, would you say he's meeting those expectations? Like, is he formidable road racer in the truck as well as what he does in the road car?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. He still got the purple lap. He beat
Still
Justin
got the purple lap.
0.050 over Justin. Maybe it was 0.005. Anyway, he
Oh
beat
man,
Justin's purple lap. Um,
There you
and
got pole
and he got pole.
that's awesome.
by half a tenth, a little less than, but
0.05 in the pole. So
I
somebody
knew he'd
sounds.
be a contender.
Who started in second? That person sounds pretty salty right now.
No, I'm not. I just knew he was gonna do his thing, dude. Like, if you're gonna doubt him, you're a fool.
right,
You're a
Well,
damn fool if you're gonna
well,
doubt him.
you're not picking.
going sorry, going from the roads, and you can agree with this, Justin. You drive both of them. Going from that road car to a truck
It's
is
miserable.
it's the whole car slides around. There's no ABS, traction controls out the window, and you're just trying to keep those rear tires engaged. And this is his first road race in the truck series because he missed Sonoma earlier in the season. So
Yeah.
going into it, I mean, I would say going into it, I was right. I had rights to be able to be like, okay, maybe this will translate, maybe it won't. Part of me kind of knew he was going to do well, but it's glad to hear it actually come to a reality just because we didn't get to see it earlier in the season. So my apologies, Jason. Didn't mean to disrespect the name if I did, but a great job putting it on the pole, man. You kicked some butt.
And to make it even worse, the track temp, you didn't mention that, was 122.
Yeah, it was
Holy
stupid.
cow.
It
Absolutely.
was stupid.
So it was hot, and the trucks were a handful, but they did it really well, man. I mean, I mean, there weren't that many real incidents due to you know, lack of control. Um, I would say there was a little smaller of a field. Usually we have higher than 20 trucks entered. This time there were 19. So I don't know why anybody's. I don't think they're scared of the road courses, but maybe just choose not to run Watkins Glen. Um, but it didn't not disappoint. Ian Silva and Nicholas Aslin were having a great race. Nicholas Aslin, I'm sure we'll talk more about him. And don't forget, Eric Thaler was in the fight too, especially towards the beginning of the race and until the pit cycle started.
Hmm.
So, Justin, how would you say? I guess the race went up to the comp caution. Was it kind of just fall in line and follow, or was it get the lead and try to try to keep pace and just keep people between, or try and keep people at a distance? Like, what was the game plan there?
For myself or others?
No, for you. Let's say
For
for you.
me, just basically just take care of the tires. Especially in that truck, it's just a whole another monster when you have to be careful with your rear traction and stuff sliding around on you. So that was kind of mine. Wasn't too worried. I mean, we're gonna get bunched up in a mere 8 laps, so it wasn't. I didn't need to feel like, well, I need to get up to the front or try and pressure anybody this early for anything. It was kind of, to me, it was kind of meaningless there. So I didn't really push the issue myself.
Good, good. But after the comp caution, it was
It was
kind of
game
throw
on.
caution to the wind.
Oh, of course.
Chase Jason, you took tires at the comp? No, you did not.
Not at the comp. No, no, because we calculated. I mean, I don't know how if we wanted to foreshadow that much or not, or just go off of my race start to finish or not. But
Go ahead.
I I screwed my strategy up actually. I think Nick Aslin had the best strategy out of all of them. I didn't take tires because I calculated it was going to be, so if you pit right before and could manage a little bit, you could basically make it a one-stop race. Um, so Nick took tires at the comp, and I don't remember if he pit with like right at lap 8 or what, because I pit a lap earlier, didn't
Yep.
take tires. I
Yep.
don't know exactly where he came in, but he took tires, but that pushed him back a little further down the field. And he was able to get right to me. And then I don't know what he did a second stop, but he jumped me. So, it, I had to play catch up from there on out. And it was like Sonoma all over again. There's the 48 leading the 2. And I'm not a good road racer and all this other crap that we always hear from Nick Castle. But I honestly think his strategy was better. I honestly think, and I'm not going to ruin the big surprise in what happened in the race for the lead change, but I think that he might have just used up his tires a little too much, coming through the field there. Um, and maybe that's what caused what happened to happen.
All right, Nick, if you're still in the YouTube listening to this, man, you gotta let us know what the strategy call was that put you out in front of him,
I like it.
and
I
and
think,
if you did in fact kill your tires. Sorry, go ahead, James.
yeah, what I think was is that he outsmarted everybody, including the announcers, because me and Walker were surprised that Nick took tires at the comp caution, but that made his longer stop while they were under caution. So he was able to catch back up and not lose a lot of time for tires. And
That's
so
an
that when
excellent
he
point.
came in the second time, JT did take tires and Nicholas didn't have to. So they were alternate on taking tires, but Justin had to put tires on while people were going full speed, while Nick was able to stay out. But that might have put him, like I say, with just one more stop, he had to finish on that set or make a choice whether to finish that stint, finish the race on the same tires or take a long stop at that point that Justin wouldn't have to. So
Mhm.
unfortunately, we didn't quite get to that point.
Well, go ahead and continue on, James.
Okay, so we'll tell you why we didn't get to that point. But also, don't want to forget that Eric Thaler was doing a good job minding his own race. He kind of realized that he wasn't going to be able to push it and hang with Justin and Nicholas because at this point, Jason Phillips had to um, come in and get fuel and before everybody else. Um, So that kind of put Jason in the back of the field and never was able to catch back up. Um, but yeah, shout out to Eric for maintaining pace and staying true to his truck and his car and his tires and run his own race and not push it and make a mistake. And his pit crew didn't make a mistake either. So he hung in there until um, I think it was about 12 to go or maybe 15 to go. Coming through the bus stop, Nick Aslin got it wrong. He was leading. He was in front of Justin, and I don't think he felt the pressure, but took too much curb. Nick, if you're chatting online, if you're still watching, tell us what happened from your perspective. But I think, yeah, he just made a mistake getting on the gas a little bit early in the middle of the bus stop before his weight shifted over to the outside tires and he could really start turning right to go around the carousel and the exit. But um, yeah, he went to turn right and the truck was still already going left, so it kept going left and into
Yeah.
the safer into the wall he went
Oof.
on the outside on the exit of the bus stop. What were you gonna say, Justin?
No, it was just
You saw it.
yeah, it was a bummer. I mean, I was looking forward to at least trying to fight my way into him and you know, either force an error somewhere else where he wasn't, going to lose however many spots. I mean, he fell back to third. He still got a decent finish there, but yeah, it was a tough one. I don't want to, it's I'm not gonna say it was like, oh, it was handed to me or not, but like that's not how you want to battle it out, right? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I get that. I understand what you're saying.
I was looking forward to the fight, I guess, because there was enough laps left, and I just wanted to see what could happen, right? Without that happening, I guess.
I
Yeah,
mean,
less
like
than 10 laps.
after the show you guys put on at Sonoma, all the way down to the wire, essentially, you wanted that same kind of thing.
Yeah, I do want to say, now that you say Sonoma, uh, hilarious that Jason was talking. I think it was like right before the race or like right after. I want to say he said it before, like, oh man, this is like so demanding. I'm gonna be sore and everything else. I was like, brother, you weren't there for Sonoma. Like, Sonoma's the deal. That track is a workout in anything, I think. And I feel like Watkins Glen is quite a bit more tamed down. But I thought it was it was pretty funny where he might have felt like, wow, I really got to manhandle this thing, and you gotta drive them, right? And I just got a chuckle when he said, man, I'm beat up and everything else after that. And I was like, well, I feel like Sonoma's way more demanding. I thought it was funny.
For sure. Um, sorry, James. Sorry to interrupt you again. Go ahead.
No, no, that's where I'm at. Um, it was incredible racing. I don't know if it was. I mean, a simple mistake, right? I mean, you're
Yeah.
at it for an hour already, and it's easy to do in the bus stop with tires getting worse and worse. You go and you hit the curbs just a little bit different than you do the previous, 40 laps. It's easy to understand how these trucks can get loose real quick. And yeah, but I agree with Justin. I think Nicholas and everybody wants to win on merit, um, not because somebody else made a mistake. Um, but I got to tell you, Eric still had to work to get around Nicholas to catch up to Nicholas. I think Nicholas was suffering from some damage. He didn't stop. He was able to get it going the right direction in front of Eric, but I think with 3 to go, Eric was able to get around. Nick did not put up a fight. He was damaged.
Yeah.
Let's clean it up. 1, 2, 3.
You got a Thaler 1-2 there, and Nick filling in third for that final podium spot. Yeah, that sounds like it was a fun race there. I got the points up for the trucks. Dustin Reinsdell is currently leading the points by a wide margin, about 103 points. over Brandon Cotton. Brandon Cotton did not have a good race out at the Glen. I think he came in one lap down from it. Looked like he was 15th place out of 19 drivers. So not a good race for him. That's probably going to come up as one of his drop races for sure. Trevor McLaughlin, third place in the standings, 5 points behind Brandon Cotton. Ian Silva is 5 points behind Trevor McLaughlin in fourth. Eric Thaler in fifth. Frank Salolaire 25 points behind. Robert Sanders sixth. Mike Scamilla seventh. Justin, you're down eighth. Nick, you're in ninth, and Michael Harris, you're in 10th. I believe it's Ian Silva. You guys can probably correct me if I'm mentioning this wrong, but down in the Truck Series chat, he has the a spreadsheet with drop races figured in. So if you guys are part of the Truck Series and you'd like to see kind of get a glimpse at where you're at, you can check out that spreadsheet. But aside from that, trucks are going out to Iowa this Friday. So Iowa race ought to be a good time. Looking to have some action there. That's a track where you're probably going to see Brandon Cotton and Dustin battling for the lead there. But we'll go ahead and move on to the Cup Series. James, what'd you see out there, man?
Man, I saw a bunch of Cup cars doing their thing on the road course on the boot for the first time. I thought that was awesome. First of all, Justin, what made you guys decide to run the boot when you did the schedule? Ant, were you part of that discussion?
Ant was the discussion.
Ant
Why,
laid
why,
down the law.
why was I the discussion?
You're the scheduling guy.
Oh, sorry. I had to step away for a quick second. You guys talking about the boot being the run?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was welcoming. I felt like those cars handled great at the boot. JT, you can back me up in this at any point in time.
Yeah, that was fun.
Nobody lost it. I was super impressed. Once again, a little bit smaller field than I expected, but um, they put on one heck of a show. Um, it was it was a great race, including the boot. Um, I, I loved every minute of it. It was just me, and um, I was happy to do it. The front four basically walked away from everybody else, but it was no shame because those front four put on a heck of a show, and everybody else behind did a great job. But the comers were separate from the goers, so once they kind of found a place to slot in, they just did their own thing, and everybody was about 2 seconds apart after the first stop, and it seemed like everybody was just in the zone, kind of cranking down laps, which really was a blessing from the broadcast side because it allowed me to really focus on the front four battle, and that front four would be Justin Thaler, Ty Williams, Walker McAnulty, and uh, Brandon Thayer, and it went down to the wire, down to the last down to the last two corners before we knew who was actually going to get the win. Um, Justin, I thought you
James,
nailed it. Yeah, I thought you did great, man. Talk us through your qualifying and then start.
qualifying went well. I think I showed my potential pace. I didn't leave anything on the table there in qualifying, and set my lap and just said, "Well, I hope that one sticks." 'Cause I think the opening lap was pretty tight between P1 and P2.
Yeah.
And then I started my second flyer. And then just trying to manage, kind of like what I did. Honestly, I think it kind of turned into a little like procession there until the comp caution. It didn't seem like many people were pushing because I wasn't cranking lap times. Again, just trying to take care of stuff and then get my get get to the first the first pit cycle, which I took at the comp, and then I think if I'm recall, I think Thayer might have stayed out. I don't remember. I didn't see or not, but I think a couple. I don't remember. No, nobody stayed out, but he might went around another lap. But um, yeah, just tried to manage and play my game there.
Yeah. I will say that I like the new paint that you brought, the Build Submarines number
Well, it
2.
didn't bring me any luck, so it's in the junkyard.
Oh, you're not bringing it back. Oh, I don't know if
Nope,
you're bringing the paint on that one, but
junked it.
man, junked it. All right, I hear you. It's your show. I liked it. It was a little different, but yeah, no, incredible. Dustin was the only one that stayed out at the comp caution. He
Yeah.
got the lead in a lap, little rascal. So good for him. Um,
Hmm.
Brandon Thayer jumped Walker McNulty in the pit at the comp caution, and that was maybe a sign of things to come. But Josh Watt got some laps. I think Eric stayed out with Dustin,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, but tires now coming in, I really thought that tires were going to be a premium. I talked to a couple guys and said that the fall off was over a second a lap after 10 laps. So I
Hmm.
expected tires to be a bigger deal, but apparently not. The winner went all the way without changing tires at all.
I kind of wonder if the thought there was you're going to make up more time not taking the tires versus the fall off than pitting. Would how many times we take tires, JT? Once, twice.
I took tires on my first green flag stop, which was probably, let's see, probably around lap 18 or so, because that's where my head was at, and that's the gamble I took. Right, was you know I was expecting guys, if they put in any amount of practice and saw the tire fall off, to figure that most everybody at some point or another is probably going to take tires under on one of the green flag stops. Um, so that's kind of where I was gambling, and then it's some it kind of turned into like a fuel management game too, because I was trying to stretch my fuel every little bit there. That's kind of why at one point I kind of just let Walker and Albert around me um, on track, was just because I was just trying to squeeze one more lap, and I coasted into my box with like .2 of a gallon left. So it was tight, and then yeah, it turns out it was probably better to save the 30 seconds on track and not take tires.
Yeah,
That, that
the the fuel saving actually kind of came back and bit you, didn't it?
Um, a little bit maybe. I mean, I don't want to make it all about my race, but I heard that you wrecked. You couldn't wreck me, so you wrecked my brother last night, if I
No,
recall correctly.
no,
Oh,
nope, not
what was
correct
that
at
all
all.
about? What was that all? That's the story I heard.
depends on who
Oh,
you
okay. Now, James, I don't know if you caught that one on the stream, but
didn't see it.
yeah. So we were going into we came out of the boot. It's whatever corner was after the boot part of the track. It's like the second corner from last, and I was making some ground up on your brother, and I don't know. He left that inside open, so I was going to put my nose in there and at least get beside him to set up, either a side by side, the last corner, go down to the turn one, and somebody back out kind of pass. But he came down and closed that door a little faster than what I was expecting because I was carrying some speed into that corner. So I ended up locking up my brakes. And fortunately, I missed your brother, but
Mm.
it ended up sending me off the track into that runoff. And I lost, I think, 3 spots because of that, in about 5 seconds to Eric.
So you didn't try and just bump them. You tried to bulldoze them. Got
Oh yes, yeah, exactly. Now, if I want to do that, that would have been turn one. That's the best place to bulldoze somebody. Now, I mean, my race was relatively clean. I think I ended up bumping uh, Clarence. I think I bumped Clarence once heading up towards the bus stop because he put the brakes on way faster than I was anticipating. Um, Aside from that, it was mostly me just spinning myself out. I think I had to save it once out of turn one. I had to save it once, lock it up. But aside from that, that running with your brother was about it. And I was able to recoup that ground and catch him anyways. So it that track, man, it took time. Like I came into it, I couldn't run any faster than a minute 57. My qualifying lap was 2 minutes. I just couldn't get around the track. And then as you practice it or run it and you start to get into that groove, it's a rhythm track. Once you get into that rhythm, man, I
Yeah,
was able
and
to get it down to 152.
and one of the things I was thinking was like, we went so long with just trying to kind of manage a little bit where like you forgot like, all right, well, if I'm gonna run harder, like I need a break here, I need to turn in here. So like I kind of got stuck in that
Saving
mindset of,
mentality.
well, yeah, and just I guess getting comfortable in a way that like, okay, these are my laps, and I never, I guess, got after the pit, the restart. I never got into the mindset of, well, just go try and run away with it. Build a gap as best that you could. I think that, but then I tried to save fuel in my like a dumbass going into turn one. I clutched it, and I wasn't downshifting to
Oh,
help
shit.
break the car down. So
Yeah.
that's how I got my 1x. Like I probably would have been clean had that not happened, and at least gotten a couple more bonus points. But it is what it is.
Not gonna lie, when you said you clutched it instead of breaking it, anytime I've ever done that in turn one, I'm always in the wall. So I thought the absolute worst, but you
Yeah,
were still
I
running.
drove it in
So
pretty deep. Yeah, yeah, it was just an off track, thankfully, but um,
man,
it
There
was
were a
fun to
lot of
watch.
upsets in turn one.
It was a lot of fun watching the battle. The last couple laps because it was like,
Hmm.
those dudes were going at it, and it was like, where did my pace go? Like, with them battling, surely you would think, you know, you should be able to get back up to them. They're not, running their optimal laps. So, and I still couldn't do it. So it was pretty cool to watch that. And I was like waiting, like, okay, which one might go deep and maybe lock up, slide through a corner, and where can I capitalize? It just didn't happen, but it was a good, tough pot race.
And let's not forget that it was Brandon's birthday, 64. Brandon
Yeah.
Thayer, his 21st birthday.
Well, he could legally have celebratory drinks.
Correct. And I believe he
Good
did.
on him.
Yes. He sent me some pictures afterwards. Um, so I don't know how plastered he got. His family was with him. But they
that
were
don't mean anything.
watching the broadcast downstairs, and Brandon in the post race interview said that um, when he came across the line with the win, he could hear them cheering as he was driving across. So that's
Nice.
probably a cool way to celebrate your 21st birthday.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh man, yeah,
Hell
that's
yeah.
a great way to bring it in.
A tie pushed him. The 81 was on his butt, and then coming into turn 9 and 10, the last two turns, um, Brandon had to go all the way hard block all the way down the inside, and he just mirror drove basically wherever Ty went and did not let him around, and then was able to pull away and keep it clean across the line. So he had to defend, but Ty didn't just pull over and give it to him. He pushed him all the way to the finish line. So
Yeah, I was thinking about what you were saying, Justin, about those two battling. You thinking like, oh, eventually they'll start coming back to me. And this maybe it got to the point where Ty was just pushing Brandon enough to where Brandon was putting down like these great lap times to try and just keep Ty behind him. So the two kind of elevated their racing. And that's why it just didn't happen, which is great to see. I mean, probably not from your perspective running in third place at the time, but from a league perspective, it's always good to have the competition to where we can push each other to still race hard and fast and clean. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what are you faster chasing or being chased?
me, I'm faster chasing. I mean,
Yeah.
I hate being chased. I hate seeing somebody like all up in my rearview mirror, like rubbing my bumper and stuff. Because I get paranoid. Like I get to the point where I'm like, oh man, they're going to blow the brakes. They're going to rear end me. I'm going to be up in the wall. There goes my entire race. Like I'd rather chase somebody and have to make the pass than
Yeah.
have somebody behind me.
Yeah.
But that's just my mindset. Unless I know I'm really fast, like Bristol that one season, where I won the Bristol race and I was really fast, because then there ain't somebody behind you. But that's neither there nor here. And we were at Watkins Glen, so it was a good race by everybody. Good hard racing. Congrats, Brandon, for getting a birthday win. That's well deserved, and hopefully we get some more coming. It ain't just on road courses. James, you might remember this, but these two pulled off a 1-2 at Watkins Glen recently. And I can't remember if it was in the Truck Series or the Cup Series the last time they did it, but it was opposite. So Ty Williams won the race. Go ahead.
I have no idea, but I would I'll do some research. Maybe that'll be I'll follow up for sure. I don't think I can find it in the next couple of minutes, but
Oh yeah, but it was. I remember. I think
Watch.
you talked to him, and Brandon Thayer was in position to put the bumper to him going into the last corner, and said he wasn't gonna race him like that, and they finished 1-2 like that. And with the stages flipped like this, it's good to see that same kind of racing came back, and the two were able to race clean, hard, and not have to resort to bumper tag. But yeah, I could. I'll see if I can find it, and I'll put it in our group chat. But again, congrats, Brandon, on the win there. We'll look at the points here for the Cup Series. Just a reminder, guys, Cup Series is off for the next 2 weeks, so I'm sure we'll have some fun runs going up. Not just the one that's happening tomorrow, but we'll have some things up to keep you occupied. But Ty Williams is ahead in the points by 1 point over Eric Thaler. Justin, you're back in third place. Brandon Cotton's in fourth. Dustin's in fifth. Brandon Thayer's in sixth. Trevor McLaughlin, seventh. Walker McNulty, eighth. Sean Cunningham, ninth. And Michael Scamilla in 10th. Oh, man. So, with the racing that happened over the weekend and what we have coming up this week, we just have the fun run tomorrow for anybody that's planning on running in that just learning about it here on the podcast. In the announcements channel on Discord, we have a sign-up sheet. You guys can sign up for the race. Justin posted the setup for that car. So make sure you guys download that setup so you guys can use it in the race. Anybody that has any issues or doesn't entirely know how to use the setups in iRacing, just reach out and ask, and somebody can easily walk you through the process of adding that to your iRacing folder so you can use it.
reach out to Andy Castor at ANTHONYKASTOR, right, Justin?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll
Go ahead.
post the cell phone in there too.
No, don't do that. But go ahead, reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to tell you guys how to do that. That's no big deal. James is going to be on the mic. It's going to be an open mic
Open mic
broadcast.
night.
Yeah, open mic night. I mean, basically. So if you guys want to be a part of the broadcast, hop into the Watch Party voice channel, and James will pull you into the broadcast booth for a couple laps. You guys can talk about the racing. You can talk about your lives. You can talk about your dog. Talk about your wife. Talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, basically, I need you guys to come help save me this week for broadcast. I hope Adam gets to run the race. He's dedicated to helping me with the broadcast on Tuesdays, and I really appreciate it. So hopefully he gets either a Tuesday night off or a Tuesday night in the rig with all his new cool gear that he's got recently and stuff, new stuff that he's trying. So hopefully he can enjoy some time in the rig instead of on the broadcast.
And anybody on the fence, this is just a fun race. There's no prize. There's no pressure to go out and win it. And if you missed I think it was last season we did the mini stocks at Lime Rock. They are hilariously fun, and I picked Daytona thinking maybe that'll entice a lot more of our drivers to get involved. Super fun car, no pressure. This is a good time. You get guys from maybe a series that you don't participate in, and kind of get them on track and race against those guys as well. Um, and it's Daytona, so getting those things screaming coming up onto the tri-oval and down into turn one they're a handful there, but they're a lot of fun. So if you got nothing to do on a Tuesday night, it's in the hosted sessions. Just search my name. Session goes live at 7 p.m. I think I set up for 15 minutes qualifying, practice and quali, and just to make it more interesting, it'll be an open qualifier as well. So should be quite a bit of fun. Come hang out, and like you said, maybe you get a opportunity to try out the mic and see it from James's point of view.
Yep, and that's going to be an hour-long race, correct?
Yeah, it's a timed hour-long race. Probably a couple pit stops because there's a fuel load limit. But I promise you, you'll think these cars are hilariously fun to drive.
No qualifying?
It,
Is the grid set just by car number, or how did you come in the session?
no, we have it's a 15-minute open qualifier.
Okay,
So everybody's out at the same time, just like in the road series.
Roger.
So I figured that would add a little more pizzazz to it.
Ought to be fun. So again, you guys can catch that tomorrow, 7 o'clock. It'll go up, and like JT said, just go ahead, search his name in the hosted session, and you should be able to join it from there. Aside from that, that's all I got tonight, guys. You guys got anything you'd like to talk about?
Thanks to all the members for showing up and racing. Do it again.
Not really. Night off Sunday, Super Bowl, and week after that we officially have NASCAR back. So
Yeah, and
looking forward to that.
yeah, it's going to be a great thing to see them back down in Daytona. Yep, with the Super Bowl coming up, we actually have next Monday off, guys. So no podcast next Monday. So we just got the truck race this week, and that's it. So we'll take this time, recover, look up some more stuff we can do, get some more guests lined up, and see you guys back here in 2 weeks. So until then, everybody have a great week of racing and enjoy the Super Bowl.
Don't forget to stay in your lane.
And I approve of this message.